Welcome to KIRUTZ, the key roots of sex addiction. My name is Colin, and I wanted to share with you today what I believe to be one of the scariest things about sex addiction recovery, and that is not knowing what you don't know. You're probably doing a lot of reading, listening to the podcasts, watching YouTube videos to get as much information that you possibly can about recovery so that you make the right decisions. Now, especially early in recovery, there's a lot of things that are going to seem correct and helpful. However, just because they seem correct and helpful doesn't make that true. So that's why we have KIRUTZ support groups, because we're a bunch of individuals who gather who have gone through what you're going through. And when you bring your challenges to the group, we can share our experiences and hopefully help you avoid any pitfalls that we might have experienced. Let me give you an example. When I was first going through recovery, I did a lot of reading. I listened to a lot of individuals who had gone through their own recovery, but I didn't necessarily talk to individuals face to face. And so one of the messages that I got was that I should withhold certain types of information from my wife because those bits of information may traumatize her more than she was already traumatized. And I did not want to do that because I was not having the greatest experience in my relationship with her, obviously. So my wife would come and she would ask me for those bits of information, and I would refuse to give them to her. And we would argue and argue and argue. It was not helpful. In fact, it really destroyed a lot of the trust that could have been built if we would have handled that differently. Now, I want to talk a little bit about disclosure because this is a common issue that happens in recovery. Guys will hear information like the information that I heard, don't share certain pieces of information, or they'll get advice that they should share everything. Now, all of that is good and well. However, it is not helpful when it is not done in a therapeutic manner. How come? Well, like me, when I first shared with my wife, I didn't even know what I should share. And I thought I was sharing everything that I needed to, but it actually happened to be a very whitewashed version of my addiction and my history, which ultimately in the scheme of things was actually more harmful. So what we want to do in addiction recovery is speak with a trained professional, a CSAT, certified sex addiction therapist, or an SRT, which is a sexual recovery therapist, because they're going to understand the therapeutic process. Oftentimes, they're going to guide you to remember everything about your addiction and write it down. And not just write it down, but write it down in a way that will not cause more trauma for your partner than needs happen. And disclosure is traumatizing for the partner. Also, the partner wants to get prepared for the disclosure. She has the right to choose what she hears and what she doesn't hear. And you'd be surprised after some guidance what women want to hear and what they don't want to hear. And then when all comes together, we share that information. This video is too short for me to cover all disclosure issues. However, you might want to order a particular book called Full Disclosure by Janice Caudill and Dan Drake. It's a wonderful book and can give you more than you'll ever want to know about disclosure and can lead and guide you. But I would highly recommend that you do that with a trained professional. Now, back in the day, if I had been open about my ideas and my tactics of disclosure with a group like KIRUTZ support groups, I might not have made such a grave mistake and hurt my wife more than what needed to be. Here at KIRUTZ support groups, one of the great things about it is that we have other men who are in your shoes trying to figure things out. We've got other men who have been there for longer periods of time and can share their experiences with you. And you have me. I have a lot of experience as a trained professional, but also personal experience. And so if you're looking for that combination in a support group, you can head on over to KIRUTZ.com and find us there. If you'd like to just call me, feel free to do that. You could put your information in the contact section of the website, and I'll get back to you and answer any questions that you might have.